Oh yeah, it's supposed to be good weather here.
So it will, I guess the penumbral eclipse will start before moonrise where you live, or right at moonrise, won't it?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we'll be into almost totality, well, about an hour from totality, I guess, when it rises over a clear eastern horizon.
What's your elevation out there? 3,600 feet, something like that?
The park's about 4,500.
Okay. Where you live?
Where I live, I'm a little bit lower. I'm on the west side of a hill. So for my observatory, it takes about another hour for the moon to rise.
Mm.
So it's going to be total when it pops up over the hill here.
You ought to rent a bulldozer and lower your horizon.
Well, there's a house up there on top of the hill. Must be
Now
great
I know
views.
why you guys said that is that Milky Way shot from the southern hemisphere. It looks like we're seeing the Large Magellanic Cloud.
It's turning the wrong direction.
And there's the Large Magellanic Cloud.
Is that what that
Oh,
bright
yeah, there
thing
it comes.
is?
Yep.
Oh,
Just
there it
hanging on
is.
the right.
Yep,
That's
there it
what
is.
Yep. I'll have to get some time lapse actually from Oracle.
So this is because it's on the south side of the earth. This is actually upside down as well,
Yeah.
and turning the wrong direction. Because that street is, I mean, if we were there, we'd be standing on our heads.
Can we test your PowerPoint?
Okay.
Good, it works. You see what I have for you here, Kim? You should be able to see it in the Zoom meeting.
I can say I'd rather just not be in a split screen like that.
People need to read your lips if they are hearing it there.
But wherever that is, it's really dark and transparent skies. Looks like Oracle.
Yeah, except for the Large Magellanic Cloud, you'd think you were in Oracle.
Exactly.
That does look like a bristlecone pine, though, doesn't it?
Kind of. There's trees like that in Oracle. Look like that. When I took a picture of that red-tailed hawk, while I was there, it was in a tree like that. That thing was like right there.
Yeah, that was something.
Vince was driving his truck along and let me lean over and take some pictures.
We've got a nesting going on right now, right behind the ranch house, and they're a little bit anxious because I've got fire crews out there clearing out brush and what have you. So I think it's not really anxious like they're scared. They're anxious because whatever is going to come out of the brush might be their buffet line.
So it's almost like a excitement of, oh, look,
Yeah, like, oh gosh, look, could be lunch.
what scrumptious delicacy are they going to send my way?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They've been really following the crew too. It's funny, they're like within 10 to 15 feet from where they're at. So waiting.
It's amazing how quickly birds and animals figure out where the food line is.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, this is Scott Roberts from Explore Scientific and the Explore Alliance, and I happen to have with me today Mr. Mike Wiesner and Vince McAuliffe. Am I pronouncing that right, Vince?
I'm McAuliffe. Mhm.
Right. And so, anyways, we wanted to talk a little bit about the Arizona Dark Sky Star Party at Oracle State Park, and also the Biosphere 2 a little bit, just to kind of give you an overview of the Star Party. We're going to do a couple of these kinds of programs so that you're familiar with what's going on with the Star Party itself. It gives you a chance to ask questions, before you commit to doing this. But we're real excited. This is our second event. Our first one was at Kartchner Caverns State Park in Arizona. It was a wonderful event, but we did finally decide on Oracle, and Oracle's turned out to be a real gem. So. Mike, why don't you give an introduction to what Oracle State Park is all about? I'll just have you and Vince on here. And
Okay.
we should properly introduce Vince. Vince is, what is your official title there, Vince? Are you the head ranger of Oracle State Park? Or
I'm the park manager for Oracle State
manager?
Park.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been here
All
for
right.
6 years.
Having gone out there and visited the park and hanging out with you a little bit, I know you know a lot about the park, you know a lot about the region and stuff. So we're real excited. It's going to be great. But go ahead, Mike.
So behind me here, you can see a couple of pictures from our recent Star Party out at the park back in April. And you can see the Galero Mountains, which are off to the east. That's actually about 100 miles to the east from the park.
Wow.
So on a nice clear day, you got beautiful views of the surrounding mountains. To the south, we have Mount Lemmon up in the Catalina Mountains, which is where Mount Lemmon Observatory is. There's quite a number of mountains, and from various high spots around the park or even the parking lot, you can see a lot of the mountains around southern Arizona, which is really kind of cool. This particular event that was going on at the Star Party during the afternoon, early evening, was music on the trails. And that's a very popular event here at the park, where we have musicians positioned out along one of the trails. And as people hike, they come up to the musicians, they listen to the music there, and then they continue on to the trail until they get to the next musicians. So that's a very popular event. And then down here below is, and then you saw Garfield up there, is nighttime there with our Star Party. And you can see some telescopes that were set up by the Tucson Amateur Astronomy Association. So Star Parties and the lead up events are all very popular here at Oracle State Park. So Vince, over to you.
All right. Well, it is a hidden gem in the state system. When people find Oracle State Park, they are reluctant sometimes to tell other people because they don't want all the all the traffic. But the beauty of it is the fact that there is an elevation of 3,700 to 4,600 feet within the park, and it goes all the way down to the San Pedro River, which at one point the family that owned the property owned 50,000 acres. So if you can imagine, at the time when this is back in the early 1900s, they were cattle ranching, and when you had everybody had 50,000 acres, you didn't have a whole lot of neighbors. But now, as the community has grown a bit, there are a lot of things and activities going on within the community. It's a very artsy community, and the park itself is an environmental education facility and a wildlife refuge. So you combine all those things and all the different activities within the community. It's one of the reasons why we're so excited for this event to take place, not just within the park, but within the community of Oracle.
Right. Right. So when did star parties actually kind of get started at Oracle? Oracle State Park has been around, I think, about the late 70s. Is that right?
Since the 80s,
Since the
it
80s,
was
okay.
yeah, created the park. Again, it was donated property through a 501c3 group of the Defenders of Wildlife, and the family had donated the property to that particular group, and then it was handed over to the park in the 80s. And since then, I mean, there's been a lot of things going on, but at one point the park was closed for a good number of years because of budget cuts and what have you. So
Oh, geez. Okay.
yeah, so that was kind of a downtime where a lot of things hadn't been addressed and what have you. And when you have an old ranch house built back in the 1920s, there's a lot of things and upkeep and what have you that we're trying to do. And actually, this particular year, I've been involved in some meetings just recently, last couple of days, where they're planning to do a lot of logistical upkeep and trying to get things really up to date in regards to plumbing and electrical and what have you. That just hasn't been done for a long time, and so some of the budget is freed up to be able to do that. So we're happy that we're able to do that, but at the same time, trying to keep events going and what have you. So.
Yeah.
So the star parties have been at the park for many, 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 many years. When we started working on the International Dark Sky Park designation in 2014, one of the things that made it somewhat simple to prepare the application is even well before that, they had been having star parties every few months out there, and they were very well attended. And one of the stories that I tell is that before we got the designation, typical attendance was 50 to 60 people at those star parties because we're kind of a remote location. We're hard to get to. After we got the designation, or just as we were getting the designation, the first star party that we had after we had announced we're working on the designation, 360 people showed up, 6 times the normal attendance. Wow. And the then executive director of the Arizona State Park System was here to see that. And he became a believer in what becoming an International Dark Sky Park could do for one of his parks. So that was really kind of cool. And so, we've had parks before the pandemic, we were doing them every 4 to 6 times a year. And now we're trying to get back into that. So we had a star party last September, and then we had one again this April. So we're slowly getting back into the mode of having one. And of course, we're really excited about the one coming up in September.
Absolutely. We have David Levy here with us. The star party, the namesake of the star party is the David H. Levy Arizona Dark Sky Star Party. And David, of course, attended the first one, and he's going to be at this one. And so, David, how did you feel about the last star party that we did? This is now a couple of years ago, right, because of the pandemic. But
I had so much fun. The sky was beautiful, and I was just getting Eureka, an Explore Scientific telescope, and was just starting it out, and I was able to take one look at the double cluster, and it was really fantastic. I won't be bringing it to this star party, but Scotty's going to provide me with
I'll provide a telescope, that's for sure.
Anyway, I do have a poem to read for you, because before the star party happens, we're going to be having an eclipse of the moon this Sunday. And those of you watching it, I'd like you to look carefully for the darkness of the shadow, the luminosity of the shadow of the Earth at mid-totality, because we've had 2 major volcanic eruptions. One in February in a mountain that's still mostly under sea, but then Anak Krakatoa, the child of the great 1883 Krakatoa eruption, erupted in April. So a lot of dust is in the upper stratosphere now, and that may darken the shadow for the eclipse. But the other thing you may want to listen for is for the poetry of seeing an eclipse. You just go up, look up at the moon, and watch the solar system at work. And this poem is by Thomas Hardy, At a Lunar Eclipse. He wrote it in 1903 after seeing an eclipse from London in 1902. And the poem has a lot to do not just about eclipses, but about the state of the world, both then and certainly now. Thy shadow, earth, from pole to central sea, now steals along the moon's meek shine, in even monochrome and curving line of imperturbable serenity. How shall I link such sun-cast symmetry with the torn troubled form I know is thine? That profile, placid as a brow divine with continents of moil and misery. And can immense mortality but throw so small a shade, and heaven's high human scheme be hemmed within the coasts yon arc implies? Is such the stellar gauge of earthly show? Nation at war with nation, reigns the team, heroes and women fairer than the skies. Thank you, and back to you, Scotty.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, David. That's awesome. Thanks for joining us today. And
Well, it's my pleasure.
yeah,
Can't wait to hear what you guys have to say.
okay, all right.
Just get a cup of coffee and I'll be right back.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. So let's turn back to Mike and Vince a little bit. And I have questions here myself about stargazing from the facility out there at Oracle. Now, I will tell you, I was pleasantly surprised at how beautiful the park was. I think that the photos I saw of the park, I was looking online. I was looking for some really beautiful shot, and it looked okay. I mean, it looked like a regular desert kind of scene and that kind of thing. That was fine. But actually going there, I found that the park was really beautiful and very manicured. It was much better cared for than a lot of parks that I might see in some other states. I'm not going to point them out because I've been to a lot of state parks before, some of them in my own home state. But this one has had, you can tell, has had some money poured into it. And from the time that it was shut down, Vince, to now, what has happened to bring this about?
Well, there really hasn't been a whole lot of money put into the park, but there has been a lot of time and energy and effort, a lot of volunteer work that has really kept it going. We've had a 501c3 of our own with the Friends group that's done quite a few things over the years. We just had them recently renovate a wildlife blind on the property, which was available during our as a completed project during our last star party, which was really nice to be able to go out to. So there's a lot of the stuff, kind of the grassroots things that really, a park this size, there's 4,000 acres that the park has, but the budget doesn't really reflect that. So we have to do wear a lot of different hats and do a lot of different things to be able to really get this park in kind of a pristine type of situation for our visitors, because people are coming from all over and they don't know what to expect sometimes. Like you said, you go to your own home state and you know what you know, but then when you go to another state, another park system or whatever, one thing that's kind of always a funny thing for us up here is because where the money has been spent is on our bathrooms. So,
okay, that's important.
So as one of the bathrooms up in the near the ranch house, a historic ranch house, it's funny that people will go in there and they come out with this look on their face like, gosh, it's they've made comments like it's the pretty potties, type of thing. So
You don't expect that in
yeah,
desert,
and the
park,
way it
right?
the way it looks, you don't expect it that look at a state park, but it is, and it's clean, and it's very welcoming to as people traveling across the state and visiting all the different state parks. We get a lot of folks that will buy an annual pass. They may be visitors here just for 6 months or so for the winter or snowbirds, and they visit regions of the parks, and they take notes. They a lot of them are have different activities, whether they're mountain biking or birders, aside from all the stargazing. So it is nice to have all that activities going on in this park. And it evolve around the natural type of an environment where you do not have a huge RV campground here, and it's for a reason. We joke a lot of the time as far as like when deer hunting season comes into play in this area. After so many generations of deer in this area, I think they know when deer hunting season is because they all show up at our wildlife refuge, and and know that they're okay, and the fact that we teach so many young kids, school age kids that come here that learn so much about the park and the environment. They're coming away, a distance 2.5 hours from Phoenix,
Sure.
40 minutes to 50 minutes from Tucson or so by bus, and they spend the day here. And as they grow older and have families of their own, it's nice that we have these types of things that exist that they can count on. And we get so many different groups that come in, having a 24/7 access for those coming from all over the country, all over the world, really, to come to stargaze at our 24/7 remote access. Is also the same place that they would go to get on the Arizona Trail, which is an 800-mile trail.
Wow.
It's the only trail in the state park system of that magnitude, and it goes from Mexico all the way to Utah. It goes right through Grand Canyon and up through the northern part of Arizona and Flagstaff. So we have those types of things, and people that are familiar with all these things, even if they're individually, then when they come together, they really kind of tend to really rejoice in a sense that those types of things exist.
That's right.
And from a night sky perspective, one of the reasons that I decided to go ahead and try to get the park designated as an international dark sky park was because I found out we've got a nice dark sky here. Absolutely. And having my observatory here out on the west side of the town, the park is about 4 miles east of me. So I knew that what my sky was going to be their sky. It's a rural area, but you can see the zodiacal light, or zodiacal, depending on how you pronounce it. So in September during the star party, it'll be a morning observation to go out and see the zodiacal light. You can see the Triangulum Galaxy with your naked eye, M33. Right. So that's another indication of just how nice and dark our sky is. And that will be an object that will be visible at the star party. And might be a little tough in September. We'll have to see, but I have seen the Gegenschein from here in Oracle. So that's a good indication for those of you who know what Gegenschein is. That means you've got dark sky. So I think everybody who comes to the star party here in September, weather hopefully good, keep your fingers crossed, you're going to have a blast. You're going to enjoy our night sky. You're going to enjoy the park. You're going to enjoy the wildlife that you're going to see at the park. You're going to enjoy an incredible lineup of speakers. So it's just going to be an incredible event, and I welcome everybody to come.
Yeah. Aside from David Levy, we've got some of the people that are still confirming, but it looks like that, this is the proposed lineup anyways. We've got Adam Block, the astrophotographer Adam Block. We've got Vivian White. She's from the Night Sky Network. She actually coordinates Night Sky Network. It looks like Terry Mann, Secretary of the Astronomical League, is a possibility here. We've got David Eicher from Astronomy Magazine, another one that would be coming. And so there's going to be a series of talks that will happen in two different places. One of them is going to be at Biosphere 2. Okay, so when you get your ticket, you're going to you'll have a tour of Biosphere 2, which is kind of a cool thing in itself. We will have smaller talks and workshop type of things going on in the park itself, including some hands-on kind of astrophotography talks and regular photography talks too. We have a fairly famous photographer that is going to be taking people out into the park, and so if you love landscape photography, wildlife photography, that kind of thing, this is something that we want to expose you to. So this is not only an astronomy event. This is going to be a photography event. This is going to be a birding event. We are right now very much involved in talking to the Friends of Oracle, which supports a lot of activities in Oracle State Park, and also the Oracle Visitor Center. And so we expect to make this somewhat of a festival. It's still coming together, but we want to put some of the party into Star Party. So do you have any comments on that, Mike?
No, I think that's what this community of Oracle is. It's a tourism-based community. A long time ago, it used to be a mining community, but over the last few decades, it's turned into a tourism community. It's turned into a musicians community. It's turned into an artist community. The people that I've talked to about this event that's coming up, the people that Scott's talked to, they are just so excited about what's going to be happening here in Oracle.
Right. Now there is.
Sorry.
Go ahead, David.
It sounds so exciting, Scotty. Would it be okay if I gave a little speech too?
I think we can fit you in. Yeah. I think you were the headline speaker of the whole event. Yes, we would definitely will be wanting to hear talks from David Levy.
And there's more speakers. Scott only touched on many of the people that we've contacted, so it's going to be incredible.
That's right. But you're also, you not only get a chance to, hear David talk, but you're going to have the opportunity to actually observe with him. Okay, and that's something I think is a dream for a lot of amateur astronomers, is to even say that you spent a weekend stargazing with David Levy, and when you do, you're going to be amazed at how well he knows the sky. Just to watch the man work under the stars is really terrific, and I've enjoyed every time I've been able to do it with him. So that's wonderful.
So Scott, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but we don't. Let's see. Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So I can say that that's absolutely correct. I spent the last night or the next to last night all night long with David Levy. We were out there at Karcher Cavern, and he was using Eureka, and it was midnight, 1, 2 in the morning. Everybody else sort of wandered off and went to bed. And I thought, I can't sit here and go to bed and wake up the next morning and find out Javelina has carried David off. So I sat up all night with David. I protected him from the Javelina, and Lily sat there one-on-one for 5 hours, and had a great night. It was spectacular. We saw tons and tons of satellites as the sun started coming up, shining off of them. And at one point, it was like Oh, and I don't know if David remembers this or not, but
I do.
he was like, "What's that?" And it's like, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna be sitting here when he discovers something." And then it turned out to be nothing, and he went on down the road. But that was an exciting moment to sit there and go, just to spend a wonderful night with such a great person. And if you've never met David Levy, he is just a fantastic human being, which is probably the highest compliment you can give to somebody, I think. And I cherish that memory, David, of that night, that we spent, all night long, literally until sunrise together. So I value that mightily. And it's available for anyone who comes to Arizona Dark Sky Star Party who wants to stay up all night with David Levy.
And registration is live now.
That's correct.
That's
Yep.
right.
And it's a limited attendance, including speakers, to 150 people, because we don't want this to be so big that you lose access to people. And I've told this story before. I was sitting, I think Scott was up talking, and I had David Levy to the right of me, and Jack Newton to the left of me.
Yeah.
And right behind me was Fred Espenak, who all three were people I'd grown up reading. And, I told my dad, he was just amazed. He's like, literally, and I'm like, literally next seat over. So it's an awesome experience that anyone can have.
Right.
And it's affordable. Registration's $150. Then you just got to get there. Now, it's going to cost $512 to reserve. That's total for 4 nights at Biosphere 2. There's also tons of bed and breakfast.
Now, when you say that, let's clarify a little bit. There are casitas that are
Yes.
next to Biosphere 2, and we are going to open that up later. Even if you've already bought tickets or whatever and you're going, and we have sold a number of tickets already, we will be opening up these rooms, and we have a block of something like 80 rooms right now. Okay. And as Kent said, it's about $512, which is a bargain compared to what hotels cost, like in the Tucson area, which is about double that. Okay, so this is going to be something that we're basically doing a pass through. We're not doing an upcharge on the rooms themselves as the University of Arizona charges us. Now, these rooms are very, very nice dormitories, is what they are. And so you'll find that they're not hotel rooms, okay? They don't have all the services that a hotel has, but they are, very, very nice. And so we're coordinating to make that all available to you, and building out the webpage so that you can go ahead and reserve it.
And we are the reservation system. The Biosphere
right.
does not handle reservations. They're not set up as a hotel. Those casitas are there for people who are coming up to do study and research and spend time up there.
Yeah.
So they don't have
Researchers, students, these kinds of people normally go to Biosphere too.
There's no maid service. This is an inexpensive bed, right? 10 miles. How many minutes, Mike? 10 minutes away?
Yeah, it's about 10 minutes.
10 minutes away from Oracle. So it's shaping up to be a great time.
Right. Now, someone mentioned food at Oracle State Park. We have not got that completely figured out, but there are restaurants in the area, not too far away from the park entrance.
Scott, I could go. I have that in my PowerPoint. I mean, I've got.
Do you?
Yeah.
You want to run through your PowerPoint of the park? Okay.
That's
right,
what I'm trying to segue. So I'm trying to segue into. Okay. So normally we're doing some bird programming here, but welcome down the wing, which is technically what this show is, but we don't show any pictures of birds. There's the advertising poster.
Hold on for a second. It's not sharing yet. Oh, there you go. Now you are.
There we go. Okay. All right. So there's the, Oracle. And I thought, okay, a lot of people that may not know exactly where it is. And, the red dot might be a wee bit large, but it shows up. So shows you we're over Mount Lemon from Tucson. So that's where we're going to be. And here's a map of the park, and has how many, Vince, how many miles of trails? 15?
15 miles of trails.
Right, 15 different miles of trails and all sorts of loops and intersections and cutoffs, and a lot of development right there in the blow up of the main area that then go back up into the mountains and up into the Cherry Valley Wash. It looks like all sorts of other washes. I look forward to spending some time out there. I'm not
and
sure.
some of the trails are easy and some of them are more challenging because of the elevation.
Right.
So.
And one loop is like 0.8 miles, and some of them are 6-7 miles long. So, and it has some fairly significant elevation changes as well. So, like anything else, be prepared for the terrain, or, be smart enough not to go to where you can go and then turn around and come back. Right. Oracle, Arizona. This is off their the Chamber's website. I stole it and I'm giving credit where credit's due. They call it a quirky town, located 35 miles north of Tucson, dates to 1800s. Oracle's home to guest ranches, local eatery shops, state park, the Arizona Trail, as you talked about, the Triangle L Ranch Sculpture Park. It's like, I don't sneeze until I get live on the microphone, and then I start sneezing. A whole bunch of other stuff here. Food sources.
Hey, hang on, I'll point out that for those of you who know a gentleman by the name of Buffalo Bill Cody,
Oh,
he
yeah.
actually stayed in Oracle for a few months way back when. So there's actually a little plaque out along the American Avenue going through town, pointing towards the hotel that he stayed in.
but it's got to be pretty certain that George Washington did not sleep there, correct?
Probably not.
Yeah. Okay. So it has a limited number of restaurants, but Nona Maria's Ristorante and Pizzeria. For those of you who don't know, Nona is Italian for grandma, and Nono is Italian for grandpa. Casa Riviera. This is from how the Chamber describes it: unassuming atmosphere with great Mexican food. The Oracle Patio Cafe, a unique gathering place in Oracle, breakfast and lunch. Pepper Sauce Station Kitchen, DeMarco's Pizza, Oro House, Hilltop Tavern, and 3C Ranch Bar and Clubhouse. Mike, what's your favorite restaurant on that list, or do you care to share?
Oracle Patio Cafe is a wonderful place to go. They're not open for breakfast, but they are a great place to go. Great food there, great people. They've catered out at the park for some of the events. There's also a new coffee shop that's going to be opening up. They tell me it should be open by September timeframe, and it's right on the main drag through town, so to speak.
And Vince, gonna put you on the spot too. Do you have a favorite?
Well, Patio Cafe is the place to go. What they don't serve is dinner. They serve breakfast and lunch.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. But anything that you order through them is, it's all homemade stuff, and they, by the time when we're all together, it'll be nice because the weather will be just perfect at that time. Be able to sit outside and enjoy your meals, and they're not open at night, so you won't be able to see the dark sky. But if you're up all night watching the dark sky, you'll just be in time for breakfast, right?
So how far away is the Patio Cafe from the park?
Oh, about 5 minutes.
5 minutes. All right.
About 3 miles or so. So
Yeah.
there's also Dollar General, Circle K, where you can get some snack foods, some microwavable foods. So either by cooking them in the store or taking them back to your RV or something.
Is there a hardware store available for those invariable nuts and bolts and Allen wrenches that people need?
There is one in Catalina, which is about 25 minutes away.
Okay. So where I'm going with that is, you need to bring all your tools and bolts and Allen wrenches with you. Because otherwise you're gonna have to drive halfway back to Tucson for the first place
Right.
you can access stuff, right? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, coming from the airport, you're going to be driving right past through Catalina, so
Right.
on your way to the park. And then there's also a assessment called CarQuest that is they sell quite a few tools and
Okay, so
as well. So,
might be a source of something.
yeah.
Because, I tell the story, Scott, the last winter star party he went to, I was going to go and I can't remember what happened. I think my dad got sick and a friend of mine, Clint Branham, went, and they get down there and the 20-inch Dobsonian telescope, a spring has sprung and escaped into the wild. And they ended up going to, I think it was an auto parts stores where they corralled a rabid spring and bent it enough to make it work to put the telescope back into business. It was an auto parts store, Scott?
Yes, it was. Well, actually, it was a little hardware store is what it was, but it was about the same distance away as what we're talking right now to go into Catalina for me to find this. So
Yeah.
Driving around the Florida Keys is first off, you have to drive slow, real slow. Okay?
Never speed in the Keys. They enjoy
the
writing
deer,
tickets.
Which are running all over the place, and it is. It's the overall, I think that this is going to be a great event. The point about on-site food is that is not part of the deal in this, so we don't have like food plans or those kinds of things. But there are lots of options, as we just pointed out. And when you drive around and check this stuff out, you're going to see how beautiful the area really is.
So moving on here, lots of wildlife. Did I miss a slide here? We're talking about, okay, so lots of birds. This is a birding show. Let's talk about birds. Common birds are scrub jays, Gambel's quail, raven, cardinal, great horned owl, Cooper's hawk, red-tailed hawk, Harris's hawk, turkey vulture, heelet, woodpecker, say's phoebe, curved bill thrasher, hooded oriole, canyon towhee, phainopella, if I remembered how to pronounce it correctly, great horned owl, western screech owl, barn owl, northern pygmy owl, and many other seasonal migrants, and the secret including warblers, hummingbirds, and sparrows. Now, the cool thing about it is September is getting into the good migration time, and so there's going to be birds from the north passing through as well as the local birds that call the park home. So for me, this is a chance to bag many life birds that I've never seen before since I've started my life list because I've not been out to the west. So I should be able to bag a pretty good number of birds to that list. And we are planning to have some bird watching throughout the list. We've been talking about finding a birder to provide a talk as well. So mammals, the most common are the Coos deer, coyote, bobcat, javelina, gray fox, cottontail, the 4 Arizona skunk species, and the occasional pussycat mountain lion. So, and here's a Coos deer, and it from what I read, the person who named it pronounced it cows, but it's become Coos, like Cooz, and they are very small animals. Not as small as the key deer, but pretty darn close. The biggest males are 30 inches to the shoulder. The females, and sir,
I said that's pretty small for a deer.
yeah, I think the key deer are smaller, but these get close to that. And the biggest males may reach 100 pounds. They have some interesting colorations I'm not going to go into. But they're there throughout summer. And as Vince said, typically they get an email from the Game and Fish Commission announcing the season dates for hunting season. And so the deer take vacation into the park for the remainder of deer season. So It's interesting that deer get emails from the Game and Fish Commission, but Vince, it seems like they do, doesn't it?
It sure does. Yeah, it sure does. And
Yep.
I mean, you'll see them. They have their normal like daily walks that they do within the park. Even we were talking earlier about some of our hawks, our resident hawks that are there. We have a Harris's hawk, and they are one of the few type that actually will hunt together and stay together for quite some time. And we've had the nest, an active nest for the last 4 or 5 years now. And it's pretty amazing to watch them as they grow out of the nest and the parents are there. Kind of reminds me of me with my teenagers, hurry up, get a job type of thing. They're basically with them the whole time, training them along some of the big trees that are right outside the ranch house. And so it's just fun to watch them. And we, as many bird walks that we've had, we have with the Tucson Audubon Society, frequent that, our park and those trails on a regular basis. It's amazing every time there is a birding event and they go out, they're out for 30, 40 minutes, an hour, come back, sit up at the top patio where we've been feeding the birds. There's all kinds of bird feeders. They will immediately look at their list and start writing down all the birds that they're seeing up at the top patio that they hadn't seen along the trail.
Right.
So they're all back, right?
Food and water.
Yeah.
Food and water.
So you gotta provide.
Vince, what's your favorite bird in the park?
Probably, any of the hawks. I just love because it's so there's always a wind that is going on inside the park. Just to be able to watch them. The Harris's hawk's probably the most common that we see. Very friendly bird that come right up to the right up into the ranch house area, and it's just fun to watch them.
Are the Coos deer pretty tame as well?
They are in a sense where they're once they're in the park, they're not really scared of too much. But we hope enough that they're not part of the buffet line.
Right.
So
yeah.
The turkey vultures here are a bit of a thing for Oracle. They're a migratory bird. They spend winters down in Mexico, and then in the springtime when they start showing back up here in Oracle, everybody gets excited. When did you see your first turkey vulture this spring?
Really? See,
and then when they leave in the late September timeframe, when did you see your last turkey vulture this year? So when they're here during the summertime, they're very graceful flyers. They're kind of an ugly looking bird, but boy, when they're flying through the air and soaring, they're quite graceful. And I really like the turkey vultures.
See, around here, people track the first hummingbird and the first purple martin typically are the birds that people track here. So moving along, we look at a picture of a kid on a hike, lots of mountain bike trails. Here is the Kennelly. Is that how you pronounce it?
Canale,
the Canale home, which was the headquarters for the ranch. And as you said, it started out as 160 acres and grew into 50,000, which is 78 square miles, which is going to be roughly 9 miles on a side. It is roughly the size of how big the ranch was. Although in that arid land, Vince, how many cow-calf pairs can you run per probably 100 acres?
I think they is part of the mystique of this ranch house. Not a lot of records and that had been kept. They were all destroyed at their wishes. But at one point, they had about 500 head of cattle.
Yeah.
So with that 50,000 acres, and they had the property that would take them right down to get the water right out of San Pedro River at the time.
So it's just that land is like South Texas. A cow calf pair to 100, 150 acres is probably about average. And That's why you have these huge ranches, because they have so much land for a cow-calf pair. You get up here in Northwest Arkansas and you can run a cow-calf pair on 3 acres easy, 2 acres. And it's just amazing the difference in land. But anyway, say the name again.
Canali.
Canali. Okay. At the death of Lucille Canali in 1976, the ranch went to Defenders of Wildlife. And then in 1986, it was deeded to Arizona. Self-guided tours. There's apparently a lot of artwork in the building. It's called a well-curated Southern Arizona Museum. So I look forward to seeing that as well. We've talked about the internet, the dark sky, and all that. Area
And before you jump
attractions.
off the dark sky, let me point out one other little thing about Oracle and astronomy. In 1916, a resident of Oracle donated $60,000 to the University of Arizona in Tucson. That money was used to build the first observatory in Tucson, which became the Steward Observatory. Lavinia Steward was a resident of Oracle who donated this money. And for those of you who've been out to Kitt Peak National Observatory, which is about a 2-hour drive from Oracle, you've seen the telescope that was that original Steward Observatory telescope that the university set up. So a lot of astronomical history here in this community.
That's cool. And it was the first dark sky park in Arizona, correct?
It was the first dark sky park in the Arizona State Park system.
Okay. All right.
Grand Canyon became one, but that's a national park.
Right. Okay. So lots to explore. Oracle in Southern Pinal County, the Oracle Historical Society, Arizona Trail, 800-mile trail. Probably won't walk nearly that many miles
You
during
might
the
not
4
make
days.
that by the time the star party's over.
Correct.
Oh.
Oracle Ridge Hiking Trail, Biosphere 2. And that brings us to the end of my PowerPoint demonstration, ending up with the David H. Levy poster. Tell all your friends about us. Plan to come. Get registered. We are early on. If you want to get in and assure a spot, Scott, we have a ad coming out. Which issue?
It's in the July issue of Sky and Telescope. I actually have the magazine right here, Sky and Telescope July issue.
Which comes out in
Popular
June.
Summer nights, and back cover is the Star Party ad. This is, from my knowledge of 62 years of Sky and Telescope magazine, this is the first time that a major Star Party's appeared on the back cover. So we are excited about that. We are listing also all the partners so far, although there may be others. That would include Oracle Visitor Center, the Oro Valley Chamber of Commerce, University of Arizona Biosphere 2, and of course the Arizona State Parks and Trails. But last but not least on that list is the Scouts of Catalina Council. Okay.
BSA.
And BSA. So the Scouts will be there doing some volunteer work. They'll be there to do STEM activities. We plan to bring, I talked a little bit about it on a prior show, but we plan to bring a thermal imaging device in. I think that once you see this, Vince, you're going to want to try to pry it out of my hands, because this thing is amazing. You can scan. I can't wait to get to that pavilion that overlooks the watering hole, because at night, because we're going to be able to see all these animals at night, okay, in the dark, in thermal, okay. And this thing focuses very sharply. It's multi-mode, so you can see it in different contrasts and all kinds of stuff. So it's awesome. It fits in your hand.
Great. Sounds great.
Sells for about $2,000, so it's the real deal. Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll bring one. We'll have binoculars there. We're going to have, of course, all kinds of telescopes there. But we're excited about it. People that sign up and go to this star party each will receive a gift. We're going to have gift items for them. We are going to have door prizes, okay, that you can win, valuable door prizes. If the Friends of Oracle and the Visitor Center come through, you can expect music, art. It should be a lot of fun. And so we're going to have several of these presentations before we get to the Star Party, because we want you to be prepared. We want to talk about what you do to get ready for a Star Party, but we also want to give a chance for the people, friends of Oracle, to give a short presentation, and the Oracle Visitor Center as well, to really tell you what we haven't told you about this particular event. So
I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great time.
it's going to be fun.
And if you've never been out under a truly dark sky, this is your chance to come in an intimate setting where you've got easy access to lots of stuff, but yet you've got really dark skies. It is truly something to behold. And if you've never seen it, if you've grown up in Las Vegas or New York City or Los Angeles, you've never seen a dark sky. And it's worth it to do that, all for an entry fee of $150 plus hotels and travel. That's a pretty cheap way to astound yourself under the beauties of the night sky.
That's right. And that fee is also going to include tent camping if you choose to tent camp there. Otherwise, you'll be able to set up your gear there, and that will also count as a campsite, okay, for you. But it'll be kind of first come, first serve as you're coming in. We do have an area reserved for astrophotographers where there's power, so that's a site that we would refer you to if you plan to do a lot of astrophotography. If you want to kind of be off by yourself doing astrophotography, you can, but you're going to be off grid. So that's not unusual for astrophotographers to do. But plan on bringing batteries. Some people use like solar rechargers, that kind of thing. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And it's going to give people a chance to really meet in person, maybe friends that they've met on Global Star Party, and to get face to face with people after this long pandemic shutdown. Okay, so we're looking forward to it. We will have a Global Star Party event for all the people that the speakers that can't travel, for the people around the world that are interested in this Star Party. So that will be done from the Biosphere 2 event, but you can count on us taking video of what's going on in the park itself. So it's a very multifaceted kind of an event, and we hope that you decide to make the trip.
So, Vince, the camping area is dry, correct?
Yes,
There's no electricity. Is there running water?
there is potable water available.
And a bathroom, right?
There is electricity, but only in one area. Yeah.
Yes, just not there. There's a group use area that Scott's talking about, and that has the power and bathrooms and ramadas. The camping itself is it's all tent camping, and it's typically set up for groups, larger groups like the Scouts and what have you.
But there is electricity. There is no electricity, but there is potable water there.
Yes.
And bathrooms, correct? Okay.
Yes.
Those are the two critical elements. You can get by without the electricity, but close by drinking water and bathrooms is critical. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When I was out visiting the park, Mike and I took light meter readings of the sky. What did it? I forgot how dark it got down to.
When we were there, which was only about an hour after sunset, it was 21.2 something.
Right, and it was only about 9 o'clock, right?
Yeah, it was about 8 o'clock. I have measured at the park and here at my observatory on the west side of town, 21.5 plus. So, and like I say, you're going to see Triangular galaxy. You're going to
So put it in perspective. What does that number mean? I mean, that's a number without any meaning till we explain what the SQM is.
So that high number, 2200, is basically fully dark sky. There's only a few places in the world. When you get down below the 21, down into the 20s, that's a typical rural area where there's still some light pollution coming in from cities, that are some number of miles away. The neat thing about here in Oracle is we've got a big mountain that sits between us and the city of Tucson. Well, the city of Tucson has a lot of very stringent outdoor lighting codes to protect all the professional observatories that are around the area. But even beyond that, having this big mountain blocking the sky glow from Tucson is a big benefit. From the park, the very southern horizon is going to be somewhat high because of the mountain. To the east, you pretty much got a straight shot out to the eastern horizon. From where I am here on the west side of Oracle, I have a much cleaner view of the southern horizon, although I do get a little bit of light pollution from Tucson, Oro Valley, and Catalina. But it's sufficiently low on my horizon that I can still see the Omega Centauri globular cluster. I can see Centaurus A galaxy. So there are some things that you can see here from this southern part of the country that they're kind of neat.
Hey, Mike, I'll say my wife and son were out in Tucson one summer to play baseball. Well, not my wife to play baseball, but my son. And she said it was really weird that, Tucson's a couple of million people, if I remember correctly. Pretty good size.
Million and a half, roughly.
Million and a half. And she said she went out to the van to get something. It was sort of dark in the parking lot. And she looked up and she could see the Milky Way.
Yes.
And she said it was like,
yeah, it's one of the few cities you can actually see the Milky Way from.
Yeah.
So it's and they do that. I mean, you've got Kip Peak National Observatory in the area, Mount Lemmon Observatory. There's a lot of astronomy. Arizona is a Disneyland for astronomers, and if you've never been to Tucson, and Tucson's not a very far drive away from where the Star Party is located, you can go hang out at some really great, really nice restaurants that are there in the area. I love the Mexican food that's there. It's just fantastic. And,
and Scott and I went to the Mexican restaurant up here in Oracle when he was here.
And that was actually very good. And I'm picky when it comes to Mexican food. So I was raised on it. Absolutely. What else do I want to say? We will have more to share with you as the weeks go by. But you're definitely going to want to reserve your ticket and get a ticket if you're at all interested in coming to this event. Lubo in China asked. He said, "Is it windy there?" It can be windy, okay. But gosh, I've observed from Arizona many times, not very much wind at all at night, although I'm sure there's times when it could be, but it's not generally windy, okay? He said, "Is dust in your eyes a problem to be considered?" Now, Mike, you live there, and Vince, you're in the area all the time. What would you guys say about that?
Well, we're at an elevation high enough that, when you hear about the big dust storms going up towards Phoenix or the haboobs, which they're called, we're above that. And so you're not going to see that level of dust, hitting you in the face. One of the neat things where I live here, we can actually look down on those dust storms as they're going up the highway towards Phoenix.
Right.
oh, that's got to be cool.
That is kind of cool. That was really kind of cool.
The elevation really protects you from from the dust storms. You can see them happen, which
Yeah.
is neat to
Yeah,
see.
and then now certainly in a windy situation, we've had a lot of wind this spring, as many of them, even in Arkansas, you've had a lot of wind. That stirs up a lot of particulates into the atmosphere. So it's going to brighten up the sky a little bit, make seeing not quite as nice. But by the end of September, the monsoons have left us. They've washed out the sky with all the rains, and we should have some really nice weather.
Right. Pekka is asking about the UV radiation index during the daytime. Now, we're up higher in elevation, which provides certainly its advantages. You know, you're getting a more transparent sky, a darker sky, but you know, any kind of mountainous observing location, you are going to be exposed to UV more than normal. So I would say, you know, if you have a sensitivity, a real high sensitivity to UV, I would just simply not go outside it and during the daytime, you know. So
I just checked my Explorer Scientific 7-in-1 weather station.
Okay.
UV index is right now being measured a little after 3 o'clock in the afternoon at 5.8.
5.8. There's your answer.
Which
So-
means what? Translate that. How high do you see it when you look at it on noon in July?
In around noontime, it'll be up towards the 10 in the summertime.
Yeah.
So
So basically, wear long sleeves, bring long sleeves, bring a wide brimmed hat, and your favorite SPF 50 sunscreen,
Okay.
and drink water.
I'm reading about UV index right now. It says an index of 3 to 5 means low risk of harm from unprotected sun exposure. 6 to 7 means moderate risk of harm from unprotected sun exposure, and 8 to 10 means high risk. Okay, so UV index of 11 plus means a very high risk of harm from unprotected sun exposure. So you're getting what, 5.2? Is that right?
it was 5.8 right now.
5.8. So okay, so you're getting into the moderate range. So we would, you know, we're going to talk all about what you should do when you go to a desert star party event. Okay, part of it is, you know, protecting yourself against the sun. But there's lots of things that you have to do to get ready for a star party, because you're basically going on an expedition to go look at the stars, and you're going to be in a protected area. You know, you'll be in a beautiful state park. There's rangers there. So you know, it's not like you're going into you know, a wild area that is doesn't have support for you. Okay, because it does indeed have support. If there's an issue, you have a medical issue, there's a medical emergency, something like that, you can get taken care of very, very quickly in Arizona state parks.
And there's a fire department here with paramedics right here in town. So
All that stuff. So
Fire, sheriff.
So how's the cell service?
I actually have I'm on AT&T, so I actually have 5G service here where I live and at my observatory. The ranch house at the park, at least through AT&T, has LTE service. However, there are various places around the park that do get 5G, and that'll probably be increasing as we go along, you know, towards September timeframe.
I use AT&T myself, and had no problems in making phone calls and transferring, getting data transfers. So that was not an issue.
Hey guys, I've got to get going.
Thank
Vince,
you, Kent.
Vince, nice to meet you via Zoom. Mike, good to see you again. Looking forward to getting out there and making the long drive and out there to enjoy 4 or 5 nights of spectacular weather. Because I know Scott has placed an order with Mother Nature, Father Sky, and the National Weather Service. So we'll see if he can come through with his efforts.
Great.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Thanks,
Okay.
Kent.
Thanks.
Yeah. So is there anything that you guys would like to say in closing for this particular program?
Vince?
I said Mike first. I guess one thing is to keep in mind it's a It is based on beauty of nature, this whole area, and to be one with it. Our environmental education is ramping up to be really involved with the dark skies. As you know, with the certification of being a dark sky park, we frequent the star parties on a regular basis, and this particular event is going to be a great event because it's all about that, and then some, in relation to birding and different activities that the park offers, throughout the day, and what have you. So my thinking is, if you're involved with the dark skies and love the nature and beauty that a state park like this can offer, there's also a lot of other good stuff, within the community itself that I think you'll really enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. This park, like we've said before, it's a hidden gem. There's so much of nature day and night that you're going to get to experience here. So we're looking forward to having you come and visit our little park.
That's right. That's right. So, all right. So I think that kind of wraps it up for today. Vince, thanks very much for taking your valuable time to be on with us today. And Mike, thank you for helping to arrange this. Mike both of these guys have been really incredible. So amazing in embracing the idea of having this star party. And so I'm really, really excited about that. It's not always the case when you try to do a star party somewhere. Sometimes it's you go to try to work things out with management. It's more like, oh, geez, what do these amateur astronomers want to do? What do they want now? And it's quite different at Oracle, because I think you guys take the status of an international dark sky park very seriously. So that's awesome. Yeah.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you. All right, you guys. We will be back tomorrow. And until we see you again, keep looking up. Hey guys, I also wanted to mention that tomorrow will be Astronomical Live, Astronomical League Live. So we'll have our regular Friday evening program or afternoon program, but starting at, I think it is 7 o'clock Eastern Time, 6 o'clock our time here in Central, is the Astronomical League Live program with the executive members of the Astronomical League. So tune in for that, and also on Sunday night we are going to have a live event very similar to Global Star Party, but of course it's all about the lunar eclipse. And so we have people that are signing up right now to share live views of the lunar eclipse from around the world. And we hope that, if that's something you want to do, get in touch with me directly. I'll get you hooked up, and, you can share your live views as well. Some people will be giving presentations, that kind of thing. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And that, of course, happens Sunday night here We'll start simulcasting at about 7 p.m., but we're going to run until way after midnight. So definitely something you want to tune into. And I think that's all I had to share here. So thanks for, again, thanks for watching, and we will see you tomorrow.